What Ike Allen and Ande Anderson have created at Avaya is what the world needs.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Ande Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of the Synergy Directory and Membership, as well as Avaya University. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to have Synergy member Leann Herron with us here today. And we're going to be talking all about the power of collaborations. And if you have any questions for Leann or myself, you can type them into the chat and we will get to those questions at the end of our initial conversation. And also we could also unmute you at the end if you want to directly ask Leann or me a question. So Leann is a transformation coach for women, the founder of Finding Resilience with Leann, and the creator and host of the Happiness on Tap podcast. Thank you so much for being here with us, Leann.
Thank you for the invitation to be here.
Oh, I was so excited that you wanted to do it because I tell you, I've gone in Synergy so much and Leann's doing this and Leann's doing that. And she interviewed this person on her podcast and that person. And everyone seems to know you in the membership. So it's so great to be able to sit face to face with you. So first off, why don't you just tell us a little bit about you? What kind of coaching do you do? What kind of clients do you serve? A little background on you.
Sure. I am a certified life and health coach and a transformation coach for women. I specialize in guiding Gen X women to break free from the cycle of overgiving and the stories that keep them stuck, managing their stress, and just enhancing their overall well-being so that they can create a life that truly fulfills them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I know you do lots of other things too, because you're a woman wear many hats. So I love that I love that you're here to share all of this with us today. So, okay, approximately how many collaborations have you done in the last 60 days?
Well, since I received the invitation to be here, I thought, okay, I really need to put my head around it because the months just fly by. So I created a little spreadsheet and I realized when I got to the end of it that I have done 24 collaborations. It has just been amazing. And I have been so blessed by all of the wonderful people I have met.
That is so amazing. I know when you first sent us that number, I had no idea. I knew like, my gosh, Leann is an active woman in there. She's really connecting with people, and that is so cool to be able to accomplish that much in just 60 days. So what kinds of collaborations have you been doing?
Uh, Prominently the podcast, in reaching out to people and inviting them to be guests on the podcast. But I have also had some, exchange of podcasts where I've been a guest and then also had them as a guest. I've done some teaching for another member. It's kind of been a mix of a lot of different opportunities. I know
Yeah.
there's going to be one that I'm going to share here in a little bit that I'm excited to talk about.
Oh, good. Yeah, there's so many options. I mean, the world of collaborating as an online teacher in whatever genre anyone is in is just vast. So it's so fun to be able to play with each other and explore all these different options together. So, what would you say is your process of setting up collaborations inside Synergy?
I use the search function and I go in and I click on people who are interested in being a podcast guest. Then I'll look at their profile, get familiar with them before I actually just reach out directly to them through Synergy, and introduce myself and let them know I've reviewed their profile and I'd love to talk to them about being a guest. And then I send them a link where they can schedule a virtual coffee because I really like the opportunity to have some one-on-one time and get to know my guests before we just jump into the podcast. Plus, then I can, tell them how I put together my podcast, what I need from them. And that just gives us time to kind of connect so that once we get on camera, people know what to expect and they're much more relaxed, especially people who've never been on a podcast.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm just out of curiosity, just because I've been in the summit world for a number of years. Do you ever have people that are like, you know what, I'd love to do the virtual coffee, but I'm busy and I just would rather just hop on the podcast and let's go. Do you have that as an option as well?
Yeah, I've had a few people that, and I can tell by their profile that they've done tons of podcasts. So I'll just email them back and request a headshot and a bio. And that's all I really need to kind of put things together. And then we'll just schedule the podcast. So yeah, I can do it either way.
And okay, I'm curious too, before you joined Synergy, I know you've been in business for a while. So before you joined, what would you say may have been your biggest challenge when it came to connecting with other coaches, other online teachers in order to collaborate?
Between time and multiple platforms. I used to be on many more social media profiles. So I had Facebook and Instagram and all of those. But I ended up getting off Facebook and Instagram in March of last year. So my only social media right now is LinkedIn. And I like to be personal. I don't like to just drop in on somebody's DMs. I like to send them an email or pick up the phone and call them and introduce myself. And I think that just really helps. But it's having the time in between everything else to reach out to people, or I reach out to people that I don't hear back from them. And I try to follow up and be consistent. So yeah, it was really having time and finding the right people that I wanted to connect with.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about time here in a bit because that's very important. And obviously, time saving is huge when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I also, once again, can so relate to having done online summits for, gosh, I don't even know now, 8 years-ish, 7 years, something like that, where we're at now. And yeah, like the amount of time it takes to put into that, as well as like wait for responses, follow up with people, that kind of stuff. And sometimes you don't hear back and all of the things. So what would you say your mindset around setting collaborations was like before you had a tool like Synergy to be able to just, see people and directly message them?
I'm pretty social, so I don't have any problems with just reaching out to people. So that wasn't a problem. I can pretty much tell by people's profiles if they're who I want to connect with, if we're in the same like-minded goals with our businesses. And so that's always a great place to start.
Hmm. I knew you were pretty social. I figured that, I figured you weren't an introvert if you're making so many
So
collaborations happen in 2 months. I love it. And so what motivated you to actually join Synergy Directory? Why did you do it?
Brielle found me back last year and invited me to be on the Shame-Free Sex Summit. So once I got started there, once the summit was over, I immediately started reaching out to fellow presenters and just saying, hey, I watched your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I'd love to connect if you're interested in connecting to talk about collaborating or inviting you to be on my podcast. So, and then you guys sent out the email to collect information for the survey. I immediately jumped on the survey once you released it, and I really saw all the data that you provided us. Especially like the 1% of us that have a podcast and the number of people who were looking to be a guest on the podcast, there was no question that this was something that I wanted to be involved in.
Yes, yeah, podcast hosts. Yeah, we all need you because everyone wants to be on a podcast, but we don't have as many hosts. So I love it. And beyond just going into the directory, doing a search and looking for people that you want to collaborate with, are there any other features or aspects of the community that you've found really valuable?
The ability to direct message someone. I mean, that is really helpful. Like with social media, sometimes it takes hunting and pecking to try to find somebody's email address or a phone number or a way to contact them. And that's right there available to us. So I really appreciate having that function and being able to email within the platform and then take it outside the platform.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because yeah, sometimes you go to someone's website and they don't have, yeah, there may be a contact form, but maybe not. And then sometimes you have to hunt people down on social media to try to find an email address or something. So, yeah, no, I'm glad that you find that helpful. And so I know you've done, okay, we're talking 24 collaborations in the last 2 months. We can't talk about every single one. I would love it, however, if you would talk about one or two that you liked particularly, like what did you like about them? Can you share?
Well, since I see Stacy's lovely face up on the screen, she was definitely one I wanted to share. We connected back in June. We did our virtual coffee and we really connected. And, then we talked about having her on the podcast. and we got all that set away and scheduled. But in the interim, we were talking about other ways we could collaborate. And I ended up offering to do an email for her regarding one of her breath work classes. And she offered to let me attend for free so that I could experience it. And it was amazing. One, the breathwork class was wonderful. Stacy, thank you so much. It was amazing. But just, we really connected. And then on top of that, when I got her on the podcast, this wonderful human started our episode with singing one of her original songs. And I've never had somebody offer to do that and start an episode that way. So that was just so amazing to offer that to my listeners and to get to experience it.
I love Stacy too, and we won't get into the details, but we know each other from way back in Boulder, Colorado. So we realized later, like a few months ago, that we actually knew each other from our younger years. Didn't even realize it, when we were first online together. But yeah, she's amazing, and I'm glad that you two got to connect in that way. Okay, carry on.
The other one that really stood out to me, just yesterday, I actually interviewed Dr. Adriana Popescu. And when we did our virtual coffee, again, we just really clicked. We shared our trauma histories and our stories. And, even in that little, I want to say it was like a 20-minute conversation, she invited me to contribute and record a video sharing my trauma story and the different modalities that I used to overcome my trauma. And so she's putting together a whole series. So we got to do that in between our virtual coffee and then having her on the podcast. And then having her on the podcast yesterday was just amazing. Her sharing her story and just how we connected and the conversation we had. I mean, I'm just so blessed by every guest I've had on.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you connected in between and did something creative like that. And I hope that anyone watching or listening, like this is giving you ideas. Like there's so many different ways that we can connect, collaborate, cross promote, help each other, and grow together. So I love that you've done all these different kinds of things already. And how have these collaborations with other coaches, with other online teachers, how have they impacted your audience growth, your following? Can you share a little bit about that?
For my podcast, it's definitely helped grow my subscribers to the podcast. I always offer a free gift during my podcast episodes. I ask my guests to do the same thing so that they grow their email list as well. And then within the platforms like YouTube or Spotify, if they have a podcast, I attach their podcast directly to the YouTube recording. And so that's another way on top of their contact information that I can help them grow their list.
Yes. Yeah. Just tag team it again. I love it. What other would you say non-obvious benefits have you experienced as it relates to synergy? Anything like out of the ordinary that we've already talked about?
I would just say the connections, in any given day when I feel like my heart just couldn't get any more fuller, then I get to connect with somebody new. And, it's just such an amazing experience to have these one-on-one conversations, especially with, like-minded individuals, people who are in kind of the same field of being in service and helping people, because every conversation I get to know I'm not alone. My experience may be a little different, but we've all had very similar experience, either in early childhood or, through the different modalities that we've learned to help us. And so it's just such a pleasure to welcome those conversations and meet these people and then get to share their stories with a greater audience.
Yeah, no, so true. And being an online entrepreneur, working from home, most of us probably can be really lonely sometimes, which I can totally relate to. And I know probably a lot of people can. And yeah, how we can create these connections, even though we're all just on Zoom right now looking at each other, it feels good. It feels good to connect. And then maybe if we, are in each other's areas, we can get together in person. And I think that's so key and important. What would you say, like, if people watching right now are really watching their budget, they're trying not to overspend on things like ads or whatever to build their business, how would you describe the return on investment you've gotten from your Synergy membership so far?
Oh, absolutely the best return on investment that I could have ever imagined. For me, time is money. So having the ability to have an abundant supply of people who are interested in being a podcast guest and help me grow my podcast, that's great. I mean, the amount of time that I used to spend hunting for podcast guests, I don't have that anymore. I either have you who send people my direction, or I can jump out there and look at people who are interested and reach out and contact them. So that's probably been the biggest return on my investment, and just conversations.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that in time. 100%. Who has all the time in the world to do it? Is anyone watching or listening right now just not busy at all and twiddling our thumbs? Probably not. It's very important to be able to do things efficiently, and especially when it comes to things like reaching out to people, because the process can sometimes take a while to actually organize some kind of collaboration and get back to each other and set all the details. So based on your success over the last couple of months, if you had like one piece of advice for any new Synergy member logging in, what would that be?
The first thing would be complete your profile. That is so helpful when I can look at somebody and their profile's complete. Please include your location. That is very helpful. Time zones are a nightmare when trying to schedule. So if I know right away where somebody is located, that's like the first thing I do is Google, like, what time is it where they're located, so that I know right away. I make sure and include that, our time differences in scheduling. So that's really helpful. But just, connect. Like you said, so many of us are working from home. We don't have a lot of contact with other people other than maybe our clients. But it is so different to connect with like-minded individuals who all have the same goals of being in service and helping people. And I think if you just started having those connections, you would be amazed at what's possible for us as business owners.
Yes, the possibilities are really endless. I mean, there's all sorts of things that I think a lot of people don't even think of sometimes of, oh, I connected with Stacy on a podcast a few months ago, or Karen or whoever, and maybe a couple months down the road you decide to co-create a product together, to write a book together. I mean, there's so many different things that people can do that isn't necessarily top of mind all the time as it relates to collaborating, but a lot of things come from us being with each other and brainstorming and just being in each other's presence and having those conversations. Thank you for all of this and all the amazing wisdom and inspiration you've given everyone today. And I do want to open it up to questions. If anyone has any, you're welcome to type it in the chat right now. If you'd prefer to ask directly, will you just raise your Zoom hand and then I'll unmute you?
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad you wanted to do it. I just love it. I have been so inspired by watching you. Okay, Stacy has a question.
Well, first of all, thank you both, because you both are doing amazing things, and Synergy and Avaya, and then Leann, getting to be a guest on your podcast and getting to know you was also a highlight for me. So first of all, thank you both. And here's my question that I hope is helpful to a lot of us. My guess is that a lot of us love what we do. Our creative side, our helping, even if we are more on the introverted side, we're in this for people. So the technical and the business side. You, Leann, did such a great job when we did the podcast. I was so impressed with how quickly and efficiently you put together the questions and the emails back and forth, got everything up so fast. I've been on a lot of podcasts, and this isn't better or worse. Some of them record way ahead of time, and it's months later before it's released. You blew me away that it was like within days we recorded and you're like, okay, it's up and going. And then Andy, all the work that you've done through Avaya, through Synergy, we all know there's all the technical stuff behind it, the business parts. I wondered if either one of you could share what have been the most helpful, especially when we know we've got to learn some things, the technical stuff, because it is such a virtual world nowadays, to get our work out into the world. how do we do that really efficiently? Are there certain things that you would say are really great to maybe hire somebody else that's passionate about like the marketing end or promoting, when that's like the part that a lot of us cringe over, right? Like, oh, I just want to share my message. I don't want to promote. I don't want to do all that. And even with collaborating on Synergy, I love that we're all sort of in the same boat. And I wondered if you had some advice on what are the things that really move the needle in helping get the message out and build that business so that we keep that flow, the currency coming in, so we can flow outward with what we do.
For me, having the financial ability to hire help has to be available first for me. And that has been kind of something I've struggled with is, making enough money to keep the lights on and have constant clients. As a coach, that can be kind of difficult because people got to find you. And to do that, you have to do all those things. You have to be out on social media. You have to grow your email list. You have to attend networking events. So you kind of have to do all those things while you're building your business before you can get to a point where you can hire somebody. And I do have a local networking group that is wonderful because there's so many people there that have different levels of expertise. So you can just ask somebody in the room, like, hey, can you maybe take a look at my website and tell me what I need to improve on? And, pay them a small amount to help you kind of get over the hump on things. But I'm a big learner and I'm also kind of a control freak. So I want to learn all the things. I don't want to just spend money and hire somebody either that I don't know and give them access to my website or all my things and trust them to do the right thing. But I want to learn. I want my hands on everything because I think that just makes me a more well-rounded business owner. But I hope someday to, have enough money coming in to be able to hire people to help with some of that stuff.
I also am a learner in many ways, so I have taken on a lot of learning in the world of tech and in the world of, I've done a lot over the years at Avaya and Synergy as it relates to our websites. We do have people that are the super, super tech people that are there for emergencies. So we have them on, on hand whenever we need them to put out fires if necessary, because I am definitely not qualified for that. But I have learned a lot, and I will say that it is massively empowering to be able to learn how to do certain things on your own. And I would say at the same time, Stacey, that if you are learning certain things and you just feel intuitively like this is so not who I am and I should totally, right, be putting this, hiring someone else to help with this because this is just sucking the life out of me, I say do it. If you have the financial resources to do it, then you do it. You're like, no, this is just not like I have no interest in learning this. I know I'm better served if my time is spent over here working on my breath work clients or working on marketing around that compared to tech kinds of things or whatever. Another thing I'll say that's also very empowering, you can literally Google and now Gemini and now, Chat GPT, everything and anything. So there are answers at your fingertips to like any issue you have, like tech wise. And that it's shocking. It's slightly scary, but it's shocking how much you can learn from things like that, not 100% trusting AI for everything. But it is there. It is a valuable resource. Other things I'm thinking are, there's a lot of ways to outsource in a very cost-effective way as well. There are sites like Fiverr. I don't know if anyone uses those. We use those fairly regularly for little fixes on the website that we don't want to pay our other guy for, that we can help somebody who is looking to make a little bit of money, and it's usually like 10, 20, 30, 40 bucks to do some kind of coding thing that I'm not going to do or we're not going to pay someone else to do. So that is a really good resource that I would recommend. And you can find all sorts of many different things that you could even think of to have help with. As far as like pushing the needle, like you mentioned that in the beginning, and above all else, and actually Stacey and I, we talked about this when we were in person last, email list, email list, email list. Above all else, it is 100%, yes, I am 100% aware that social media is there and we might have big followings, but it's still, research still shows that like when you actually have someone on your email list, they are more interactive, more, you have the ability to send them something that they open up and they engage with, compared to social media where most of us are just scrolling at this point and not necessarily engaging. So anything you can do to prioritize building your email list is going to help you obviously build your business, build your clients. And then when you have a bigger email list, just as a whole, you can share with more people about Leann's programs or Karen's programs or Camille's programs or whoever. And that is going to just help everyone involved. So that would be like number one. And I don't know if you have a specific email service provider, Stacy, but there are some things like, I think it's MailerLite is the one that's coming to mind that's free for, I can't remember, it might be up to like, do not quote me on this, but like 1,000 people or something like that. So there are services out there that are not, exorbitantly expensive, especially as you're getting started, but that keeps things organized. You're able to, actually send messages and do lots of different kind of automations and tagging and all the things you'd need to really be able to optimize your email list. I hope that we answered your question.
Yeah. Definitely great stuff in there. And the email list, our conversation about that has been huge for me because I was giving things away without collecting emails and just making that one switch of, oh, I love giving things away, give it away and get that email. So I've been doing that. And then that would be my follow-up question, which you just said, is then taking those emails using something like you mentioned, was it like MailChimp or what did you call it? Mailer?
It's called MailerLite.
MailerLite. Okay.
But MailChimp is another good option. We use Aweber. We've been using Aweber since almost it began. So honestly, we have a really good rate for it because we were grandfathered in way back when Ike actually started the business. But yeah, you can get started. You would, Google it or Gemini it and look up what are some of the most cost-effective email service providers to get started on so that you're not paying an arm and a leg from the get-go. But even if eventually you do build to the point where you are paying, it is worth the investment. I mean, email is still like so crucially important, and highly recommend the focus be email list. Even and in addition to, if you want to, be building through social media, that's great. But I would definitely never say like that is that's the only way. You've got to have the email list. So very important.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm glad that you did it though. That's great.
Yes. Super helpful.
Hang on. I got a question in the chat. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Natalie or Nathalie. Is Synergy best for B2C or also B2B? For people who don't know what that terminology is, B2C is business to customer versus business to business. I would definitely say the majority of people in Synergy at the moment are B2C, business to customer. However, that is our intention is to continue to build way beyond that. So we do have some people who are more of also lots of life coaches that are just in general helping people succeed in life, which could also include business. So at the moment, we're looking at mostly B2C, and as we grow, we're continuing to open it up to B2B, definitely not restricted to B2C at all. And did that answer your question? Okay, great. Dawn Marie is new to Synergy. What's the best way to get started if you are B2B? I would definitely be reaching out to people we have a lot of, so there's keywords in Synergy. You can look up anyone who has keywords for leadership, entrepreneurship, money, like money mindset, finances, that kind of stuff. Those might be the best places to get started with people who are focusing more on the business ends of things and the financial ends of things. Let's see. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. I would say that's your best bet at the moment, is just be looking up for those keywords. And obviously you can search profiles anytime you go to the Synergy members page, which is also called Synergy Search. Every single member is listed in from order of newest members all the way down to the first people who ever joined. You can be looking through their profiles. And it definitely doesn't mean like you can't intermingle. So if you want to be interviewed by Leann about if you have a B2B business, you want to be interviewed by Leann and her podcast and talk about happiness, success, whatever from that perspective, I think those collaborations are great too. Sometimes we need to start looking at things in a complementary way. That is definitely something I'd say. I think a lot of us tend to be like, okay, I'm an EFT practitioner, so I need to go into Synergy and only find other EFT practitioners in order to do a collaboration. It's got to be the exact same thing, but that's really not true. We can create so many different collaborations with people who have complementary interests or be building on those kinds of things. So I would say look for those keywords, as well as looking at people's profiles and kind of getting creative in your head to think about, okay, well, maybe I think I could be on Leann's podcast or somebody else's that's talking. Lisa Peterson comes to mind. She has a podcast that is, I can't remember the name of it, but she's a money mindset coach. It's something about millionaire. Do you remember the name of it, Leann?
Mindful Millionaire, I want to say.
Okay,
we
that's
actually
it. Yeah.
did an exchange. It was amazing to have that opportunity.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, see, I knew I could ask Leann and she would know. So yeah, so Mindful Millionaire. So you might want to go hit up Lisa Peterson in Synergy and hit her up for a podcast interview if you're B2B, because obviously financial, money mindset is a huge part of being a successful entrepreneur. All right. And we're also going to send out a recording of this. So if anyone wants to watch it again, if you're, wanting to pay more attention to some of the advice that Leann gave you earlier on or whatever, you can go back and listen to it. I just want to thank everyone for being here. I really, our intention with this was to inspire you and to really get you to see what's possible. And I think Leann is a great example of that. And I hope that she's inspired and motivated you to get out there, to set up collaborations. If you have hesitation, to be moving through that hesitation and not being so concerned about getting a no. Everyone in Synergy is there to do collaborations. So rarely would you ever get a no anyways, because there's always some way we can work together. And I appreciate you being here. Oh, and if anyone listening right now happens to not be a Synergy member, you can go to synergybizportal.com to learn more and to join us. That's synergybizportal.com. And thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you again soon.
Avaya has changed my life.
Avaya has made me the woman I am today.
Avaya is my home.
Avaya is personal freedom.
Avaya is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about Avaya.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, Avaya, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Ande Anderson have created at Avaya is what the world needs.